Bala in North Wales, home to the famous Bala Lake, and to the Hickish family. English incomers Toby and Stephanie Hickish run a catering company with the help of their 3 children.
Could you follow me with a thing of these, Evie? Yeah.
17-year-old Evie, Freddie, 24, and 28-year-old George.
It could be lighter, these things.
Theirs is a manic, all-encompassing lifestyle.
I've got courgette balls I've got to stuff with cream. No, I've got to stuff the eclairs with cream.
From their farmhouse on the outskirts of Bala, catering is not the only business they turn their hands to.
We run 5 holiday cottages. We run a cafe up here. We do evening meals for people. We do parties for people. And we run a cafe in the leisure centre in Bala. And we also do a bit of gardening in our spare time.
Mainly catering?
Mainly catering, I suppose, yes. But I'd like it to be mainly gardening because that's my passion.
That's right, yes.
Yes, and the aim is to employ lots of people here so that I can spend my time wafting around the garden.
Yes, with a big hat on.
With a huge hat and a pair of secateurs and a flowing skirt. But that's a long way off yet.
Toby and Steph moved here from the home county 17 years ago, with warnings of impending doom ringing in their ears.
A lot of people say, gosh, you'll never settle in Wales at all because, they don't like the English and all that rubbish, which is absolutely not true for a start. But we had to come here and get into the community immediately because we needed help. And we needed help on so many levels.
The reason for the move was their son, Rory.
When Rory was born, he had muscular dystrophy, and it meant both of us really had to change our lives somewhat, but it was a very good excuse to come here.
He was given, sort of 2-3 years to live, and he made it, I think probably thanks to the Welsh Air, until he was 14.
Everybody adored him, and we sort of wandered around behind him in Bala High Street with everybody saying hello to him.
He was a really good sort of integration...
Icebreaker.
Icebreaker, yes, if you like.
He was always a huge bonus, wasn't he, really?
The force of Rory's extraordinary personality made him an immediate hit with the local community. But his 2 brothers, Freddie, who was 6 when they moved to Bala, and George, who was 10, have mixed feelings about their reception as English incomers.
We were in the car, and I was 6 years old, and you were there, and you leant over because you were in the front seat, and you went, oh, guess what, we're moving to Wales. And I started wailing. I was like, I want to move to Wales. Because I didn't know where it was, I guess.
I had my group of friends, and it wasn't very nice, being told that we were going to move. To me, it felt like we had given like a week's notice or something, and just said, right, we're moving next week. But I think there was a little bit more time than
Must
that.
have been,
but a little bit more thought than just doing that. But...
So I got moved into a Welsh school so I could pick up Welsh. I thought the headmaster sounded very strange. He'd sort of say, it's like nyawn nyawn, which was yawn yawn. And I thought he was doing aeroplane impressions, but he was, but he was speaking Welsh, and then I'd understand it more and more. So I think that probably helped integrate me a bit more.
I never picked up Welsh, really. It was a very difficult thing for me to have to do, to learn Welsh and to pick up this new language, which is, and then obviously I was different. So in school you had got your half dozen kids who could speak English and not Welsh, maybe learning it all right, but just they were English kids, and that was the group I was with. Then everybody else was the Welsh lot, and I don't know, children always find something to
absolutely, yeah.
to pick on, isn't it? So,
yeah, I don't think I ever fit in with that with those guys either.
You still had some sort of like native Welsh speakers and stuff as your friends and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm marrying someone Welsh now, so it must be something all right.
The family are now well established in the area, employing a number of locals across their businesses. But 2012 will be a pivotal year for them.
Oh, do you think there's a dump, Toby?
Yes.
Not only have Steph and Toby just taken on the contract to run the local leisure centre cafe,
Potatoes are for you.
they have also agreed to host and do the catering for their own son Freddie's forthcoming marriage to a local girl.
I think we're just going to try chucking everything and see how it turns out at the last minute. Seems quite fun.
The Hickishes are a close-knit family unit, but in 2012 will too many cooks end up spoiling the broth?
But we're okay. If the PIMS has taken effect, then we should be all right.
The idyllic hills above Bala Lake. Another full-on day dawns for Stephanie and Toby Hickish, English incomers, and arguably Wales's hardest-working couple.
Oh, couscous. Have you got some couscous? Oh.
Toby and Steph moved to North Wales from Wiltshire 17 years ago, with warnings of impending doom ringing in their ears.
A lot of people say, gosh, you'll never settle in Wales at all because, oh, they don't like the English and all that rubbish, which is absolutely not true for a start.
Far from not settling, Steph and Toby have gone on to renovate their farmhouse, raise their family, and establish 3 small businesses: a catering company based at the farmhouse, a cottage rental business, and a garden tourist attraction. If that weren't enough, this year they've taken on business number 4, running the Bala Leisure Centre Cafe.
It's always a bit of a rush in the mornings, actually, because we have quite a lot of salads and quiches to make, or hams to cook and all that sort of thing.
This morning, Toby's on CAF duty, while Steph heads out to one of their 5 holiday cottages with fresh linen for changeover day.
Well, Toby and I ended up running it as a holiday cottage 10 years ago, and I absolutely love doing it. But since we've opened the gardens and got the other cafe, it's actually really it can be quite stressful. Sometimes it can take up to 3 hours to do a changeover, which I just simply don't have that time. I mean, I love people. I could never sit in an office and not interact with people. I suppose I'm sort of fairly gregarious. I didn't work very hard at school, so I haven't got any fabulous qualifications that see me through into a wonderful solicitor's job or anything like that. I think my strength lies in people skills, I hope.
As Steph and Toby's mini business empire expands, their latest venture, the Leisure Centre Cafe, is proving to be more challenging than they first imagined.
Well, it's working out a whole system, really. It's a new business, you know, it's new to us, and it's a lot more complicated than you might think, you know, what people want and to some extent whether that's what you're going to give them, because you've got, you know, if you give them one thing, it might stop them buying something that was more profitable. I mean, that's the truth of it, really. If there's wastage, then the sums are difficult to do. But if it all sells, it pays, you know. So as far as we're concerned, it's multiples, it's volume. Just wallop it in. The salads don't really cost very much as long as you're not tipping them away, you know. Ooh, oh. Too much. You soon get told if you try and charge too much. We had to reduce the price of the tea. We charged £1.75 for a pot of tea up at home, and still do. Down here, they were up in arms. There's now £1.50. Yes, it's been very busy. It's a good thing. It seems to be locals. It's very good news because we need people all year. And then when it's a nice day, people come off the lake. But that's not very many days a year, actually, especially this year. I find it very satisfying with this place buzzing away.
Whilst Toby cleans down the cafe, Steph returns to the farmhouse just in time for her next task, taking a party of green-fingered enthusiasts on a guided tour of their 3 acres of stunning gardens, designed and landscaped by Toby and Steph.
Hello, welcome to K-Rye Gardens. Thank you very much for coming, and thank goodness that we got such a lovely day. If you see any weeds, don't worry about them. You can pull them out or just ignore them. In fact, you might get a discount on your coffee. We've been here 18 years, and when we moved in, the gardens were a field and the house was derelict. So we've done absolutely everything. There's lots of different bits of gardens to see and look at. There's lovely woodland walks and things. You go right up to the very top. There's a beautiful view of Bala Lake.
On the back of the steady stream of visitors the gardens attract, Steph and Toby decided to open a garden cafe in front of the farmhouse. And by early afternoon, Toby returns to help out with the lunchtime trade.
Oh, I've got to get cooking.
He's soon joined by Steph, and their non-stop day enters another phase.
Oh no, that's the worst thing in the world, lasagna. Paninis? How are they going? Oh, do you think this is enough, Toby? Yes. The trouble is it's a party of people, so they've all ordered at once. And I hate people having to wait.
All of this running around is quite normal for Toby and Steph.
Let's do it. Now.
They work around 14 hours a day, 7 days a week.
We're under control. Are we?
And yet, despite their non-stop graft running 4 businesses that employ up to 15 local people, financially they're far from having their cake and eating it.
We're not money people, so we don't quite understand it, so we just work. I think just work, really.
Yeah.
It's lucky we enjoy our work.
Our turnover means that we've got to be VAT registered now. If we're charging £2.50 for a child's meal, we've got to take 20% off before we get anywhere. We still got to pay all the staff and things after that. It's a terrific percentage. Very, very difficult.
That was quite something, wasn't it? Oh, I need to lie in a darkened room for a minute. Right. What next? Gatos.
And in Bala, North Wales, there are just 2 days to go before the marriage of local girl Anita Jones to Freddie Hickish, 24-year-old son of English incomers, Toby and Stephanie Hickish.
That was quite something, wasn't it?
Toby and Stephanie run the Bala Leisure Centre cafe, as well as a busy catering company from their farmhouse.
So the next is 1 Thai curry and 1... What's this? Green tea. Oh!
The Hickishes have lived in this Welsh heartland area for 17 years. Freddie, who is English-born but attended a Welsh medium school and is a fluent Welsh speaker, is marrying into a local family whose first language is Welsh.
Good job I'm strong, isn't it, Fred?
There are just 48 hours left before the big day, and it's all hands on deck at the Hickish family home.
Do you want me to cut anything back?
With the average wedding costing around £16,000, Toby and Steph have volunteered to help slash the expenses by hosting and catering for the whole event.
Well, we always said we'd cater it, really. Then everybody thought that perhaps we'd get professionals in, but we're too tight to pay for professional caterers. I did think I was professional, actually.
Bride-to-be Anita's on hand to help with the arrangements, but she's been running into some relative difficulties.
We're moving house after the wedding, so I'd gone and moved a carload of things over to the new house in Whitchurch, about an hour and a half away. Enjoying myself, cooking a sausage casserole, sitting down, having a nice time, when a car turns up in the yard and bloody my family all pile out, move into the house like a bunch of locusts, eating all my bananas and biscuits and everything, and then produce this list and say, right, Anita, sit down, have you organised? Oh, I don't know, like how people are getting from the church up to the house, decorations and food and canapes and wine and favours. I don't get the idea of favours. Why should I, or why should we have to pay for little presents for everyone? You know, it's our wedding, why should they get presents?
Away from the hubbub of the wedding preparations, Toby makes time to do some work on Rory's circle. A dearly missed son and brother, Rory was born with muscular dystrophy. He passed away 5 years ago at the age of 14.
This is, well, we call it Rory's Circle. It's actually our son Rory. We've placed him in a little spot over there. And it was here long before he died, as a funny little quiet retreat, and it just seemed the obvious place to place him. We rather like this dripping urn thing. Yeah, a quiet little retreat. I think whenever there's a family gathering, we tend to think about him, and I dare say my parents will wander up here at some stage. And, you know, it's our second son to get married. He was our third. So, but we have fond memories.
You try it. I think the yeast's gone a bit funny.
Oh, really? A bit salty, I'd say.
Didn't put any salt in.
Well, I don't know. I don't.
It's not going to kill anyone, is it? Just a bit yeasty.
Doesn't taste of yeast particularly.
No.
Put some smoked salmon on it and some cream cheese, it'd be lovely. Don't want to eat any more though.
Today is a beautiful day for a white wedding. The marquee is in situ. Groom-to-be Freddie's taking Mum Steph through the last of the seating arrangements. Dad Toby's checking his alfresco kitchen. The last-minute food prep appears to be in safe hands. Probably. And the best man's having a last-minute panic. All is as it should be.
We'll be down there at 1:15 and the service sheets are in there already.
Time to get to the church. Freddie and Anita are getting married in a bilingual ceremony at Eglwys Christ Bala, Christchurch, Bala. Along with Anglesey, Gwynedd is now one of only 2 areas in Wales where Welsh is spoken by over half the population.
Wel, gai groesawu chi gyd yma I Eglwys Christ heddiw ar gyfer achlysur pwysig iawn ag arbennig. May I extend a very warm welcome to you to this church, Christchurch in Bala today, for this very important and very, very special occasion. Fred, derbyn y fodrwy hon.
Fred, derbyn y fodrwy hon.
Yn arwydd o'm cariad am ffyddlondeb.
Yn arwydd o'm cariad am ffyddlondeb.
Anita, yr wyf yn derbyn y fodrwy hon.
Yn arwydd o gariad.
Yn arwydd o gariad.
A ffyddlondeb.
A ffyddlondeb.
Rhyngom ni'n dau.
Rhyngom ni'n dau.
Felix, they are husband and wife, Mr. and Mrs. Ickish. I think this is the appropriate time, do you, that they kiss each other? Their very, very first kiss as a married couple. And there will be many more. So don't have too long a kiss, Fred. But have a nice kiss.
As the happy couple make a leisurely return to their wedding reception, Steph and Toby hot-foot it back to get the ovens fired up.
I thought we'd done all the teas and there's another wave of teas to go out now, so I've just got the sausages, which won't go brown, but they will go brown because I've told them to. And, yes, so we're sort of getting there, really.
Actually, it really has been great. It's been, without thinking about what the actual party was going to be like, I was just sort of fussing about everything coming together, but as everything does, it has. And I think we've all had a thoroughly enjoyable day.
I think it went really well.
It was excellent, yeah, I really enjoyed it. About this close to crying all the way through, which would have been horrific.
Yeah, there was a couple of times I think both of us kind of had that, you know.
A lot of work goes into weddings. We've done them professionally, and it can be a nightmare. But I think we pulled this one off just about.
Bala in North Wales, home to English incomers Toby and Stephanie Hickish, and the rural farmhouse from which they run their gardening, cottage rental and catering businesses. It's early December, and Toby and Steph and their chainsaws are heading into the woods in search of a Christmas tree.
I want you to cut a way through here so we can get at this tree here.
And the promise of some much-needed peace and quiet. 2012 has been a whirlwind year for the Hickishes.
We're under control. Are we? No.
In January, they opened another new business, a cafe in Bala Leisure Centre, and have since spent most of the year working 14 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I knew it was going to be busy and rushed and slightly stressful. Let's do it.
And to top it all, just 6 weeks ago, they hosted and catered for 130 guests at their youngest son Freddie's wedding to local girl Anita Jones. And having been helped through this 12-month maelstrom by their daughter Evie and sons Freddie and George, Toby and Steph are now looking forward to a relatively relaxed Christmas.
Yeah, we're thoroughly looking forward to Christmas, actually. And it's going to be lovely because we're actually going to go down to Toby's parents for 2 or 3 days. It's the first time we've been down there in 30 years of our marriage. But back up here, we've got sort of the build-up to Christmas in the cafe at the leisure centre, and then we've got Christmas parties in the parlour, and we've got our lovely boys coming to look after the house when we're away, and then we've got probably a New Year's Eve party here when we get back, which is very exciting. And even more exciting is at the end of January we're going skiing. So I really can't wait for that one, actually. Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Well, you take that down, I'll get the little one.
Yes, dear. So athletic. Well, 2012 was absolutely lovely, to be honest. It was very, very, very hard work. I think 7 days a week sort of hauls a bit eventually. And the children have all sort of moved on a bit. Evie passed her
Theory
driving test, which is great. George is off tomorrow to the RAF, which is very exciting. He's been trying for 3 years to get in. And eventually he heard about 3 or 4 weeks ago that he definitely got in. So big tears tomorrow when he goes, because I've got to drive him down to somewhere near Windsor, I think. So Fred's married, Evie's happy, George is off somewhere, and everything has gone really quite well, actually, against the odds.
But after such a successful year, will Toby and Steph be treating each other to some suitably celebratory Christmas gifts?
We don't go massive on Christmas presents, really. I can't tell you what I got Toby now, because he's just come in.
Oh.
It wasn't very expensive. Anyway, he'll be disappointed to find out.
You usually get something that you actually need in the garden, don't
Yes.
you? Like a chainsaw or a hedge trimmer.
Yes.
Which you've just been using now.
Exactly. Yes, my mother's never terribly impressed with Toby's choice of Christmas presents for me, but it's become a bit of a joke now. I think he tries to think of things that would horrify
No, I don't.
her.
It's completely practical. I don't want to waste money on something silly.
No, that's very true.
That's why for your 50th you got a new iron.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I think it's ludicrous, the amount of money spent for nothing, for no reason.
Toby said the other day, why don't, a bit of lateral thinking, we could actually make it into a religious ceremony, couldn't we? That's brilliant.
Is that right?
That's absolutely stunning. Spot on.
Yeah?
Yep. What would Nesta say? Yes, Simor.